everyone, Effie here. Today I'm going to make this card using our new Large Florals Heritage Rose Set. This is the new stamp in our Large Florals collection, and I'm so excited because it kind of reminds me of a peony because of all those layers and petals, but it's actually a rose and it's a really nice large bloom. So let's get started with the card. I'm going to start off by stamping the first large layer or solid layer using our ballet slippers dye ink. I'll be using our peony layering inks. The second layered color is our Hollywood Star dye ink, and then the third layer will be stamped in our Cosmopolitan pink ink. There's also a small stamp that you stamp in the center of the rose, and it kind of looks like just fragments of a stamp, but it's easy to line up if you just find the coordinating shapes. So I stamped this last layer using our Grand Fuchsia dye ink. This is a nice dark pink ink that is the last layering color in our Orchid Collection layering inks. After I finish stamping my bloom, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the foliage. For the foliage, I'll be using our Mint Collection inks because I wanted a mint color palette. I started off by stamping the second layer of the leaves first, and then I double stamped the first layer since our Lofty Mint dye ink is fairly light. After I double stamp the first layer of our leaves, I'm going to stamp the last layer of my leaf using our Hot Tourmaline dye ink. However, for the last layer, I will be using my mini Misti to help me position this stamp. Stamps are easy to line up. All you need to do is line up the left edge of the leaves, and it's very easy to line up. I just use my Misti for the video so that my head doesn't get in the shot or in the way of the video. After I finish stamping the leaves, I'm going to stamp the rest of the foliage using the same color palette. Since the stem for this sprig in the set only has two layers, I'll be using our Bright Emerald and Lofty ink, and I'm going to stamp the Bright Emerald layer first and then double stamp the first layer in our Lofty Mint. After I finish stamping the stems, I'll go ahead and stamp the buds. I'll stamp the first layer of the buds using our Ballet Slippers ink. For the second layer of the buds, I'll use our Rose Quartz dye ink. This is just a slightly darker pink ink. I wanted a more subtle pink layering combo for the buds. After I finish stamping, I'm going to fussy cut all the elements. Coordinating dies will be available for purchase tomorrow. However, I did not receive them in time when I made this video, so I did fussy cut all the elements. Next, I'm going to stamp our new tone square stamp set. This is going to serve as a backdrop for my florals. The stamp at the top of the 6x8 set will be the first stamp that you want to ink up, and for this first stamp I used our Bright Emerald dye ink. All you need to do is line up the three triangles at the bottom first row of each stamp, and that's how you're going to get a perfectly positioned geotoned or a toned square background. For the second stamp, I'll be using our Crystal Pewter dye ink. For the third stamp, I use our Lofty Mint dye ink, and this is a really nice subtle color palette. So after I finish stamping the left side of my panel, I'm just going to repeat the stamping on the right side of the panel. These stamps are meant to stamp, I guess, next to each other. So after you finish stamping the three layers on the left side, you can easily and seamlessly stamp the same three layers on the right side. So you get a seamless pattern along your entire panel. So they are meant to fit into each other for a nice seamless pattern on an A2 panel. But you can stamp this on a larger panel because the gradient gets lighter as you go towards the top of the design, so you don't necessarily have to limit yourself to an A2 size panel. After I stamped my pattern, I added stitching to the edges of my stamp panel using the largest die from our Double Stitch Rectangles large set. Then I stamped the sentiment from our Tone Square set with our Caviar dye ink right onto the panel. Then I mounted that stamped panel onto a side folding A2 base. Next, I'm going to start assembling the florals and foliage onto my card. I just popped up all the elements using some foam tape, and my card is now complete. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. Be sure to stop by our blog to check out the rest of our new Spring 2018 release because there are some giveaways and fun prizes. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.